Welcome everyone to Co-Creative Health Solutions Wednesday Health Flash, and our topic for this week is precautionary measures for travelers. So it's the time of year when many people take the skies and fly away to far exotic places, and they're usually hot. So it's wonderful to get a break from winter. However, many people end up not enjoying themselves due to stomach upsets and sometimes much worse conditions caused by food contamination and beverages. And the last thing you want to do is do what she's doing. So years ago, Dennis DeLuca, president of Biotics Research, which is our nutraceutical company, was on a botanical expedition high in the Andes in the Amazon to visit Peruvian maca plantations. He took a team of 3 from the States to observe the way the maca tubules are harvested and processed and to bring back samples. They were met at the airport with guides, 3 four-wheel drive vehicles, and some international guests. There were 12 people traveling all together. When traveling to these plantations, you have to drive through jungle and over mountains. It's pretty intense driving, so think about Indiana Jones and some of his exploits, and you'll have a picture of it. You don't see anyone or anything for hours as you drive through a narrow road filled with potholes. Scenery is stunning, but a little isolated, to say the least. Meals were less than desirable. He described how natives use plants soaked in local water to brush herbs on various meat dishes. Dennis had a great deal of experience traveling in other countries, particularly bush hunting in Mexico, so he knew how bad the water can be in those outlying areas. As a precautionary measure, he and his small team took 2 ADP every time they ate. ADP is an emulsified oregano oil that has antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-amoebic properties. It's from Biotics Research, of course. The worse the food preparations appeared, the more his team members laughed, and as his team ate the questionable food, ingesting ADP became known as ADP moments. Unfortunately, he didn't offer the oregano to the other guests. So the first 2 days passed uneventfully, with everyone eating the native foods and consuming bottled water whenever possible. When the maca plants are harvested, they have a festival where they make all kinds of maca drinks and obviously food. Maca is a food staple, and a good harvest brings a lot of festivity. The vegetables are irrigated and washed with local water supply, and as we know, the water is usually the problem. And keep in mind, many of our vegetables are grown, irrigated, and washed in the waters from other countries as well, so something to think about. By day 3, the guests without ADP were making frequent trips to the bathroom and complaining of loose stools. By the end of day 4, the other guests were in definite trouble. In fact, 3 of the people had to be airlifted out to a local hospital and had to discontinue their trip, missing the maca festival completely. What's interesting, though, is that Dennis and his team were eating the same food, drinking the same water, and no one was sick or experienced loose stools. The group taking ADP had no symptoms, whereas those not taking ADP got seriously sick. Here's another anecdotal story that's not as dramatic but drives home my point. A doctor friend and his wife had gone to Cancun, Mexico for the past 6 years on vacation, and every year he and his wife had taken the same dose, 2 ADP, every time they ate. Last year, for the first time, they decided not to bother as they've never had any problems. Sadly, after eating dinner the first day, his wife was very sick with fever, chills, and extreme fatigue. Ultimately, she ended up in the emergency room with typhoid B she contracted just by eating chicken in a fine restaurant. When taking ADP for 6 years, not a trace of sickness. The 1 year they didn't take it, serious sickness ensued. So these are anecdotal stories, but I can tell you we've recommended ABT as a traveling prevention for many patients, and not one person has ever come back to tell us about a problem. In terms of travel, I won't leave home without it. Dr. Mark Force did a study checking bowel flora by sending stool samples to specialty labs and having them culture and identify what bugs may be causing dysbiosis, which is leaky gut. His study resulted in finding that emulsified oregano oil killed Entamoeba hartmanni, Endolimax nana, and reduced Blastocystis hominis scores. Hope I pronounced all those right. The November 1995 issue of Journal of Applied Nutrition also showed that Candida albicans was inhibited by emulsified oregano, which, with such a preventive effect on bacteria or amoebic infection, it has value in other areas too. Many doctors use it as a first-line therapy for bronchial or respiratory infections. Sinus infections also respond well to emulsified oregano. The emulsification process allows it to cover a greater surfactant area. To give you an idea, 4 emulsified tablets will easily coat an entire area the size of a tennis court, which is approximately the size of the small intestine. So, for preventative purposes, take 2 tablets with each meal. For therapeutic levels, we use 5 tablets 3 times a day for 2 weeks, and then cut back to 3 tablets 3 times a day for the next 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, we need to replace the healthy bacteria with a good probiotic and prebiotic like Biodophilus 7+. They also have Biodophilus caps and Biodophilus phos, but Biodophilus 7+ would be the ideal. So whether it's preventing traveler's diarrhea or treating a stubborn infection or yeast infection, bacteria, ADP can be a key part of your arsenal. It's also that time of year for colds and flu. What a disappointment to spend all that money on a nice trip only to be sick during it or upon returning with a cold. Remember, despite a holiday being fun, it is stressful. Flying, different foods, and other less desirable travel experiences can take their toll, and that's why many people need a holiday from the holiday. So going away, take ADP and Hydrozyme with you. Hydrozyme is a enzyme that includes hydrochloric acid for effective protein breakdown. Do like we said, 2 ADP with everything you eat. 2 to 3 Hydrozyme in the middle of the meals for complete digestion. When you get back from the trip, take Biodophilus 7+ or Biodophilus caps or Biodophilus phos for 3 weeks to replace the flora. Some other safety measures. We talked last week about the TheraX BioApp patches that are new, and they have one for stress and anxiety, digestion, and a bacteria patch. And this would help with the vibrational coverage that you may need on your trip. And this will make sure that you definitely stay well and have a great time. And the patches will stay on while swimming. They're meant to stay on for 3 days, and you can wear up to 4 at a time. And another patch you might want to consider to protect against dehydration, which is very common going to hot climates that we aren't used to, is their HTO patch to help with the uptake of water, preferably alkaline water if you can. And as I said, up to 4 patches could be worn at a time, so you could wear this one as well with the other 3. And just a little tip for you, if you have a sore throat, this really works. 6 ounces of purified water, a teaspoon of Celtic sea salt, something like fleur de sel or gray salt, 4 drops of bio-demulsion fort, and this can be also used as a prevention for colds. Just a drop of it a day will help out a lot. You don't need this during July and August at our latitude. Or if you're on holiday somewhere sunny, you don't really need to take it every day, but use it if you have a sore throat. And also 1 capful of the HR Detox. HR stands for homeopathic remedy, so it's a liquid you would put into that water. And they are both available from Biotics Research. So have a great trip, a healthy trip, and thanks for joining us this week. And we'll see you next Wednesday. We have one more before the Christmas break. And there's our contact information if you would like to get in touch. Thank you.